Hi everyone, you should have your 2 panels crocheted as I have here, 15 in the top and 15 in the bottom with a flower pattern that is similar in both panels. Now we're ready to crochet our borders. I'm going to crochet around the sides and the bottom. Now you can choose any color from the panels. I'm going to choose purple from the first flower. I'm going to crochet around the bottom and the sides again. There will be 20 single crochets on the side and 34 on the bottom for the foundation row. Now to do this, I'm going to begin by inserting my needle, yarning over, insert, as I'm doing here. Okay, so now I have 2 stitches on the needle for the single crochet. Pull through. Now I'm going to do 20 single crochets going across until I get to the corners. Also, as I'm crocheting here, I'm creating somewhat of a tight stitch so that the flowers begin to build a tighter panel for the purse or tote to be able to carry something. So as I'm inserting, I'm also pulling tension on the yarn. I'm trying to get this through. And so you see me pulling here. This is the foundation row. Again, you're going to do 20 going to the corner. Also, you can see I have 4 green markers. I'm going to use those in the corners so that I'll have an idea of where my corners begin and end. And as you know, in crocheting, you need to have some form of where your crochet stitches begin and end. So I'm crocheting across till I get to the corners. Yeah. And then once I get to my 20th stitch, I'm going to add in a marker. And this is recommended, especially since this project is not a gauged project. You want to have some form of uniformity. So now I made it to the corner. Now I'm going to insert a marker. I recommend that you use a color that's different from what you're using in your project so that it's easy to determine where the marker from the actual yarn you're crocheting with. So now that I have made it past the corner, I'm going to continue with a single crochet of 38. Initially I said 34, but it's actually 38 till I get to the last flower, which is the purple one. And as I stated before, as I'm creating this foundation row, I'm actually putting a tight pull on the yarn so that when I add my next 3 rows, it will be firm and a good foundation to add the next 3 rows. So I'm continuing with single crochet all the way across, and with this you have to kind of gauge whether you need to pull tight and where you need to place it in the flower based on how tight you make your flower, what size needle you use. Now with this one I used a 3.75, So it's a smaller needle. So when I pull, it's, I only have to use a little more tension, which is different from using a larger needle. I'm trying to make sure that I have my stitches somewhat uniform, so I took them back down. This will make a big difference when I go to do my next 3 rows. So it's very important that I get this part right. So even though it looks like I'm not counting, I'm actually counting so that everything is even. And I'm actually inserting the needle into both parts of the stitches. Some people insert in the front, but since we're making something that has to carry something, you want to make sure you do both parts of the stitch, which the back and front. It's going to make for a more firm form. So now I'm making sure that everything is neat. Insert. So just keep going across until we get to set the next marker. I'm having a little problem here. So now I'm making sure the yarn is tight. Insert, and I'm keeping track of how many stitches I have so that I don't have too many before I get to my last flower. So it's basically I'm at 20 here. So keep going across until, and as you can see, this foundation row is pretty tight and firm. Keep going across and inserting. And when you insert your needle, it's based on your personal perception of where you think it should be in the flower, and this just comes with crocheting and then looking at it. You can tell if it's firm and if it's uniform, so I'm making sure that everything is neat. Now I'm on my last flower on this on the bottom. Keep going. Let's see. Get this through. So it's yarn over, insert yarn over, pull through. Okay, so I have a few more stitches here. Insert yarn over, pull through. Insert yarn over, pull through. Okay, and so now I'm getting to where I think I should place a marker, and then I'll just pull a little, and now insert the marker for my next corner. Pull through, and then tighten the stitch back onto the needle, and I'm going to do 20 on the side. Yes, I'll fix this a little. Make sure that I make it kind of loose so that when I go to do my next row, I won't have a problem with placing a needle in. So now it's 20 on this side. So single crochet, insert, pull through. Okay. And as I stated before, you have to kind of figure out based on how tight you or loose you crochet where the stitches should go. And the great thing about crocheting is that you can adjust things as needed because how yarn works. So, and this type of pattern is great. Okay, so insert, go through. We're almost to the last part of the foundation row. And insert, go through. Okay. Insert. Go through. Trying to get this through here. Okay, so just keep going. And I've done this enough to know that I'm getting to, what am I, 20? And if I were you at the end, I would count to make sure I have 20 and 20 on each side, because it's really going to make a big difference in how professional your project looks once you begin adding the other part of the border to your panels. Okay, we're almost to the end. And insert, and don't worry about your loose yarn at this point. There's going to be a point where we leave them in. So I kind of ignored the loose yarn from the flowers at this time. Insert, go through, okay. And see, insert, yarn will go through. So now I have to make sure that with my last few stitches that everything is lined up. So my last stitches have to end where I began on the first flower, on the opposite end. So that's what I'm doing, making sure that everything is level. And so now that I have this, okay, so now we have the foundation row. Now we have to get ready to do the next 3 rows. So now we'll go through. Now let's put in the marker. These markers are really, really important, believe me, they are. So now that I have a marker here, okay, now I have to add a marker on the first flower where I began my first crochet stitch. So I have to see where that is and then insert a marker and pull through. I'm almost clear with this. Okay, so now I have this in. Now we have our 4 markers. We know where our 4 corners are. So now, let me move this around. Now we're ready to begin our next row, which this is actually going to be 3 rows. So the same process, insert the needle, yarn over and pull through, and it's 20 on each side, and then with the bottom it's 40. So you're going to add an extra stitch in each corner so that it looks more squared off. Single crochet, go through, insert, go through. Just keep going until you have your 3 rows, 20 on each side, and then 40 on the bottom for each row after this. And just keep going. Come across. And then now I'm getting close to the corner. Insert yarn over through. Excuse me, yarn here. Okay. Yarn over, pull through. Insert yarn over, pull through. Insert yarn over, pull through. Insert yarn over, pull through. So now I'm at the corner, and at this point I'm going to add 2 stitches in the corner. So because now we need 40 on the bottom, so that's 1, and then I'm going to add another one. So now it's going to be 40 going across the bottom, and just keep going. Single crochet across, and I'm loosening this up so that it's not too tight and bunched up. And single crochet until we get to the next corner, and then you're going to continue the same process all the way across. So now pause the video and then meet me back once you get your 3 rows. Once you crochet your 3 rows, your panel should look like this. So I have the foundation row and 3 extra rows plus my markers, which I'm going to use to help me line up for the next panel. Also, I'm looking at to make the panels to make sure that flowers are in the right spot before I begin. Okay, so please pause the video and place your markers in if you have not done so at this time. So now we're ready to work with our second panel. We're going to use the same process that we used with the first panel, which is to crochet the foundation row and then 3 additional rows. So it's single crochet until the corner, add a marker, and then continuous single crochet. So now I'm crocheting my 20 single crochets on the side, 38 on the bottom, 20 on the side for the foundation row, and then the 3 additional rows are 20 on the side and 40 on the bottom, adding additional crochet in the corners. Please pause the video and meet me back. Now that you've crocheted your 2 panels and added your borders, it's time to add the bottom. As you can see, I've already crocheted the bottom to give you an idea of how the bottom will look and how it will fit within the 2 panels. Now, to crochet the bottom, we're going to chain 15. Remember, we yarn over, then pull through and tighten to create the slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 15, and once we have the 15 chained, we're going to do a single crochet in each stitch for 24 rows. Now again, as I stated before, this is not a gauge project, so you do have to check to make sure that 24 rows is appropriate for the panels that you have crocheted, so now I have my chain 15. Now I'm going to do a single crochet in each one, which is insert 2 stitches on the chain, yarn over and pull through. Insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And we're going to do this all the way across until we get to the 15th stitch in the chain. And once we do that, turn the stitches and start the next row until you get to the 24th row, or the row that's necessary for your bottom to fit your panel of flowers. Before you cut off your yarn, make sure your bottom fits your panel of flowers. Otherwise, you will probably have to add in more, and then that's more weaving when you get to the weaving process. So now I'm making sure I have all of this in here, and I'm going to counting to make sure everything is right, is appropriate, and it's recommended so that you don't have problems later. So I'm making sure I have them. Okay, let's see. Yes. So now I have the 15, and I'm going to check it next to my one that I crocheted, and it's perfect. So pause and meet me back. Now we're ready to sew on the bottom and the sides. I have everything lined up, including my markers in place. Now this is the bottom, and I have my 2 sides. Okay, so, and I'm making sure that everything looks nice and neat. So, and uniform. So now let's begin with sewing on the bottom. So take the bottom piece and place it on the front part of the panel. As I'm doing here, you're going to place it on the front and line it up. You can use a plastic needle as I have here, which it has a larger opening, that's why I'm using it. Or you can use a metal needle. So I got the needles from Joann Fabrics. So if you're wondering where to get your darning needles for crocheting, and the plastic one works pretty good, so, and it's easy to thread. So now I'm pulling my thread here, and it's very, very long. It's at least 36 inches. So insert, and as you can see, I'm going over and I'm pulling a little, so, and I'm going to go back in that same area and do this all the way across in a normal sewing pattern until you get to the end. And it's okay to make it slightly tight because this is going to be holding something, so it's better to have a very tight stitch than when it's too loose. And as I said, I'm going all the way across. So do this and meet me back. Now you should have the first part of the bottom sewn to the first panel, and as you can see I used the markers to help me, and this is how it should look once you finish sewing the first part. So now let me see what I'm going to do. Looking at this, 1 second. I'm going, instead of cutting my yarn, I think I'm going to just sew to the other end. There's less weaving in the final process. So I'm sewing to the opposite side where I'm going to add the next panel. It's up to you if you want to cut your yarn, but I'll just sew up to the next corner. So I'm sewing to the next corner, and it's basically invisible since it's the same color yarn, so no one will know. Okay, so now adding the next panel. So now again we have to place the bottom on the front side of the flowers to sew them together. And now I'm going to be threading my needle, and it came loose, sorry. Yeah, sometimes the yarn comes out, so now let's begin. And as you can see, I'm lining it up with the marker and inserting, pulling through, and then you're going to do the same process all the way across, inserting and pulling through until you get to the end of the row. So now it should be it's the same process. Yeah, I came back out. So pause the video and continue to the other end. Now that you've made it to the end of the row, you want to look at your project, and this is how the bottom should look. And everything is lined up pretty nice, and it's coming along really well. So now we're ready for our side panels, and we're going to use the same technique of placing the sides on the right side of the panel and sewing as we did with the bottom. So now I'm going to begin the same process of inserting, inserting in. I was just showing you that I'm on the right side, and you have to make sure that you're on the right side of the flowers, because I have sewn things together and it was on the wrong side and have to take it a loose. So make sure you're on the right, the flowers are on the right side. So insert, pull through. This is a little easier than just the really long bottom. So keep going across. Okay. Until we get to the corner. And once you get in the corner, check everything. It looks pretty good. So now you're going to pause the video and do the second panel. Okay, so now you have your two sides on and the bottom. And this is how it looks. So now we began weaving in the strings before we sew the sides up. You can do it now or you can do it after you sew the sides, but I like getting the weaving out of the way before I close up the panel, just in case I have to mend something. So with the weaving process, basically you use your crochet hook to pull the yarn through in the area where the yarn is the same color so that it becomes invisible. And just pull through, and then when you have an extra area to pull it through, you just keep pulling it around. And you want to go up, and now I'm coming back down. And this locks in the yarn actually. So first I was going straight up, now I'm coming back down. Over time the yarn will lock in. So you want to pull in the yarn and see. Now you can see, you can't see where the yarn actually is. And I try not to cut it off. I try to weave it all the way in whenever possible. So I'm pulling this through. Okay. Pull down. I'm pulling the yarn down. And see, now we have, it's invisible in that area. You can't see anything. And to work with the flower part, the first thing I'm going to do is tighten the magic ring. So I tighten the rings so that there's nothing, no opening. And now I'm going to take these two strings here and tie them in a knot. So, and that helps to secure the yarn. And now I'm going to take the yarn and work from the back of the stitch, so it's not going all the way through. And I keep working from the back as I'm doing here. Pull through, and every once in a while you do have to check to make sure that the color is not coming through. So use this technique, pause the video and meet me back. Now that you've finished weaving in the loose yarn, it should look like this. There should be no visible yarn in the panel of flowers. So, and I'm making sure that the front doesn't show any weaving from my trying to get rid of the loose yarn. So now we're ready to sew the sides on. So, and I'm going to use the same process of inserting the needle in the corner and then going through. Yes, okay, so, and we're using the same process that we used to attach the bottom and the sides to the bottom. So just keep going across until we get to the end. and the results should be the same as what we had. Sorry, my yarn came out of the wheel. So keep inserting and going in and tightening the yarn as we pull it through so that we have a tight stitch. And now I'm just making sure that I have enough of the panel for the end. Now, say if you sewed a side panel and it's too short, don't take it down. What you do is you just single crochet on it, and no one will know because it's basically if you're using the same color. So just keep going until you get to the end. And also you can pull the yarn a little bit because if you don't crochet it on the same day, some days we crochet tighter than others. So just pull it a little as I'm doing here, and everything will work out. So pull it through. Now once I get to this corner, I'm going to go in this section more than one time so that the yarn won't come loose on the end. I have to make sure that this part is really tight, and I'm pulling it through, creating a type of knot. And then now I'm just going to cut this piece off. So pause the video and continue sewing the sides on. Now that you've sewn the sides and the bottom on, your tote will look like this, or it should. So now we're ready to add the straps in the next phase.